Hello guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, my name is Mels and we're going to be going over my favorite palettes I tried this year. These are all palettes that came out during this year, so they are my favorites. I have a very extensive collection, so it isn't often that I find something that I always want to use and something that I keep in my vanity drawer, the one that is the closest to me, the most accessible. So I wanted to share them with you. If my voice sounds rough today is because I have a sore throat, so sorry for that. Sorry if it's a bit scratchy. Hopefully you won't notice because we will be talking about makeup, so let's get right into it. We're starting from the bottom, of course, and the palette number 10 for me is the Isameya Industrial Color Pigments. I was disheartened while making this list because, these are my top 10, so they are all well loved, and I had to pick a few that were about to go in the bottom spots, and I had to pick this one. While I love this color story, it's very grungy. Some shades are so beautiful and unique. I basically got this palette for this shade, which is called Whip, which is this amazing black with glitter, and it has a lot of particles. This is Whip. I feel like the camera just doesn't do it justice. But I ended up loving a lot of the shades. Like, I even like this blue topper, because on this black shade it makes it like a night sky type of eye look. I just really much enjoy this palette. It's very unique. It's not something that you usually see on the shelves or something that brands always come out with, so it's very unique. I love it. The only reason why it's on the 10th spot is because a few of these shades are giving me some heartburn. For example, this shade here, it's so difficult to pick up, and I get it, it's supposed to be a topper. I can still make it work, as you see here. Well, this is a weird, what am I doing? It gives that, the sparkle that it's supposed to give. Not picking it up again. But yeah, I feel like for the price tag, you shouldn't have heartburn problems. Another one that's giving me heartburn is this one here. It just doesn't pick up a lot. So yeah, this has a few issues, but even if it has these issues, I still feel like it is very unique and something I'm always excited to use, so I had to include that in my top 10. For number 9, we have ColourPop's Secret Admirer palette. This is from their St. Valentine's collection, and I think that you can see I have been using this, and I'm a sucker for these burgundy and these reddish pink shades. So I really enjoy this palette. I know it isn't something that people usually use a lot, but I feel like the quality here is there. But it is number 9 because, well, I don't love ColourPop's shimmer formula, so these two are already out of the equation, not something I use. And this Super Shock shade is not as sparkly as I want it to be. So when I use this palette, it's basically for the mattes, and then I like to go in with a Super Shock shadow or a single shadow, something that can give me that sparkle, that glitter, that shift that I want. So this is great. I love it. It's probably my favorite ColourPop palette. The shimmers are lacking a bit, so that's why it ended up in the 9th spot. Palette number 8. I'm slowly realizing that maybe these two are a bit similar, but this is the Gemini 2 palette, which was released this year. This is the companion palette to the Gemini palette, and I just told you I love these burgundy reddish shades. But I think that this palette is very unique because there's a combination of these shades with the greens and I just love it. It's so grungy, it's so sultry, it's perfect for smoky eyes. The reason why it's number 8 is because the shimmer formula from Melt Cosmetics, they just can't get it right. Their mattes are incredible, but you're still paying a premium price for a not so great shimmer formula. So these are the only 2 shimmers in the palette. They are very deep, and they don't perform like, yeah, they're beautiful shades, just not very reflective, nothing to be that excited about. So again, this is another palette that I reach for the mattes, and the reason why it's up in comparison to the Secret Admirer palette from Colourpop is because I feel like this color combination is so unique, so grungy, and it's just a step up from that. For palette number 7, we have the Wayne Goss Smoky Quartz palette. This is a 90s inspired palette, so if you've been watching a few of my videos, you knew that this would be here because I love 90s inspired palettes. This is it. As you can see, I've used this a lot, and I feel like the shades here are so wearable, but they still provide that something, you know, that makes this elegant. They're very easy to use, they're always super easily blendable, and the looks I come out with are they're neutral, mind you. It's a neutral palette, but they are so delicate and sexy. I think like this is a sexy palette. The mattes are very smooth. They are also very if you have mature skin, they are perfect for you because they don't just highlight your fine lines. And the shimmer here, it's actually a very nice shimmer. It has a lot of particles, and it's just very sparkly. It reminds me of Colourpop's Ritz Super Soft Shadow. In fact, I use it almost as I use that one, and that one as a pen. So you know a shimmer is good when you open a palette just for that. I do open this palette just for that. I think this is a great palette if you love 90s inspired makeup and 90s makeup look, and I love that. I had to include that. It is also a gift from my mom. It has a value for me which goes beyond just the makeup is good, but that's not what I'm talking about. I feel like the palette is great and it deserves to be in my top 10. Palette number 6 has been loved all around YouTube. I have yet to find a bad review about this palette, so this should tell it all. This is the ABH Rose Metal palette. If you're interested in this, I did a video trying this on, and I mean, just look at this color story. This is another 90s inspired palette, and it is so grungy, but there's so much variety in this. Like, you can go warm tone, you can go olive, you can go burgundy, you can go neutral. I feel like my favorite shade is Ashes, because this is not just a matte, it is a satin taupey rosy shade, and this all over the lid, I've used it a lot. One of the best shades. I think this is probably my favorite Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I've played with a lot of her palettes, and I was waiting for a color story that was this grungy and sexy, and they delivered. The quality is exceptional. The shimmers are they are molten light. These are not shimmers like the Colourpop one that you don't notice. You notice the shimmers. They are there, they will let you know, and everybody around you. So yes, this is one of my favorites from this year. So now that we have reached the top 5, I have to make a disclaimer. It's just 2 brands for 5 positions, and it's the same palettes, just different variations. I don't know if this counts as cheating, but when was looking for other palettes to put in this video and to substitute them with. I even thought, okay, maybe I can just do all of these three together and all of these together in one position. I just felt like I wasn't doing these palettes any justice, and there wasn't any other palette I would have replaced them with, so I'm going with my heart. You know, it's my top 10. Number 5, I have from Kaleidos the I think this is called, what's this one called? Is that the Cold Smoke? I think these don't have the name anywhere. But yeah, this is their smoky quad, and the quality of these quads is unmatched. This is the deepest black I have. I don't want to swatch it because I know it will just go all over my arm forever. I reached for this black when I want to do my eyeliner with eyeshadow, and this is timeless, a timeless quad. It will always be useful, it will always be pretty, you can always make a classic traditional smoky eyes. And the quality of these shimmers, I was talking about Molten Light with the Anastasia Beverly Hills one, but just look at how reflective this is. This is the one that ranked the lowest because, well, I feel like silver is a shade that a lot of brands can do very well. So yeah, it is also something that I don't use that often or as much as the other ones because it's a very smoky palette. Number 4 is the Flowing Ace quad, and I know what this is because finally with the collection after the previous one they put a sticker. It's just because of that. This is the Flowing Ace, and this has everything and every type of tone I love. Well, first of all, this is a duochrome, which is very interesting, and these taupey grayish purplish shades, they're so beautiful, and like touching these eyeshadows is like touching velvet. They are just velvety eyeshadows, and the mattes here are just super high quality. Look at that shimmer again, super reflective. This is like a very wearable take on a purple palette, and I love it. I love these stones, and I use this a lot. Maybe the duochrome I don't use that much because I prefer this for all matte looks, but this had to be top 4. Alright, top 3. This is where things get serious, alright? I have one last one from Kaleidos, and it's the Cold Brew quad. I told you I would have the quads, and this is the palette. I know this is like the most boring one out of the 3 that I showed you, but this is so useful. The mattes are so buttery, and this shade here, this shimmer, is actually very unique. So it looks like just a taupey, a more cool toned glitter shade, but when you take a look at this close enough, of course my camera won't show it, but this is like red pinpoints. It's so unique and definitely something I don't have in my collection, which is weird, you know, because you have a quad which is full of neutrals. So yeah, I probably have these shades in my collection already, but they aren't as good. They aren't as good. Look at these mattes. They can go on forever, I tell you. If this looks patchy, it's because my hand was wet from wiping it. But yeah, this is definitely top 3. One of the things I am keeping in my vanity. Well, basically almost all of these are in my vanity drawer, so they're that good. I have recently made a video about Lisa Eldridge Vega palette, and here I am today making a top 10, and you know, one of her palettes is here, number 2. This isn't Vega, this is the Cinnabar palette, and let me show you what's inside. I had this already rearranged, so I had to put every shade back into it, but look at how much I'm using this. I feel like I'm close to eating pan on a lot of my Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palettes. These palettes just completely revolutionized the way I look at mattes, and every time I do my makeup, I just don't want to deal with normal powdery eyeshadows. These are creamy eyeshadows. They're velvety, they're so easy to use, so easy to blend. They wear well, meaning they fade a little bit, but the weird thing about this formula is that it fades seamlessly, like it fades into the skin. It looks more natural somehow, and still like I was there blending for hours on end when all it took was 5 minutes. So I had to have this in my top 10, and Cinnabar is number 2 because it's still a bit warm, which is not what I usually go for. I prefer cool tones, at least now in this time and the period of my life. It's my cool tone phase. I also don't really love all the shimmers. For example, this one has a top coat which is called Ritual, which is this shade here, a bit warm gold. It's a topper, so I don't really love it. The shimmers, yeah, the shimmers are fine, but they're more bronzy, which isn't a color I love. So I had this already rearranged. I taken out basically all the shimmer except for this pinkish one and substitute them with some other mattes. But yeah, I wanted to show you the palette as it is sold, and this is definitely something I would recommend. I already gifted this to a friend, I gifted this to my mother. I just can't get enough of these palettes. And before moving with palette number 1, which I think you can guess by now, what is this doing here? Well, I want to mention I did receive a third eyeshadow palette from Lisa during Christmas, but I haven't played with it so much, so it isn't here, that's why. But number 1 top favorite palette, I feel like my life would be incomplete without it now, is the Lisa Eldridge Vega eyeshadow palette. This is a cool toned, perfectly curated, easy to use, seamlessly blends into the skin eyeshadow palette, and even the shimmers here are just so dreamy. This one here is so reflective, it's perfect for the inner corner. This one here is more taupey, more grungy, and even this grayish blue shade, it's so pretty. And just this transition here, perfect transition shade, just this brown, are you kidding me? Like this tea colored, tea brown, and this black is perfect for eyeliner. I just love this palette, and it's my favorite I've tried from her. I'm still trying to get my hands on Sorcery, but I feel like this will always have a dear and special place in my heart. This is the first palette I tried from Lisa. This, as I mentioned already, this completely changed the way I look at eyeshadows and mattes, and I just want to wear this every time. And I struggle because I want to wear this, but I also want to use my collection. And this was it, guys. My throat is literally collapsing on itself, so I have to end this. But these are all my beloved eyeshadow palettes from this year, and just looking at this table, it makes me so happy and so excited about makeup. I want to use them all. I want to have endless eyeballs, eyelids to do my makeup on, but I don't. So it's so sad I have to pick one. This was a very, very difficult top 10 for me. Eyeshadow palettes are my beloved makeup items, the one I am most happy to play with and have fun with. I have lots of them because I love them, so it was very hard for me. But yeah, tell me in the comments below what are your top, at least, you know, you don't have to write top 10, but top 3. What are your top 3? Doesn't matter if it's from this year or like ever. I will be happy to see which ones you love, and you know, maybe just take a few notes here and there. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Hopefully you will consider subscribing, leave a like and commenting. It really helps, and it's just more makeup on your feed, which is always a win-win for both. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.